Hello, this is Chelsea Dade, founder of Communicate for Health Justice LLC, and welcome to CFHJ's Soft Launching Justice podcast. Soft Launching Justice is a podcast exploring how young people of promise are shaping the future today by demanding more. Hosted by yours truly, each episode unpacks the systems youth are influencing and challenging today, from digital culture and public policy to workforce and leadership pathways. Through real conversations, this podcast holds space for emerging advocates who are leading boldly while challenging norms, even if we're all still figuring it out together. Subscribe to the podcast on YouTube at CFHJ. Well, welcome everyone to this month's episode of Soft Launching Justice. I'm Chelsea Dade, founder of Communicate for Health Justice LLC, or CFHJ for short. CFHJ is a youth workforce development hub and consultancy. Our services include professional writing, campaign development, and content creation. And we deliver tailored youth programs on the most important skill, communication, that centers youth of promise as actors in their health. If you watch the news or check your social media, you're very likely to run into two letters, A and I. AI is dominating the public discourse, so I thought it would be a good topic to spotlight on soft launching justice. My guest today is Kibran Hale, a Gen Z leader and technology advocate. Thanks for being here, Kibran.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. My name is Kabrom. I am a senior software engineer and ERP project manager. I am glad to be part of this studio to get interview with Chelsea on the SFHJ. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. And our commonality is through United People Global, which I've chatted about last year. So yeah, well, we'll go ahead and jump into the questions. What's a common misconception people have about AI that you think needs to be challenged?
Thank you again. Thank you, Chelsea. You raised this important question uh, because I see this misconception in a lot of users in this current age. So one of the common misconception is that AI is completely independent, objective, even neutral. I use these feelings. I used to see such kind of thinkings in many people. Many people think it produces answers without bias, human influence. But in reality, AI systems are built, trained, and guided by humans. The data AI used, the design choices, the objectives behind the system, this all shape how it behaves. So this means AI can also reflect existing inequalities or biases in the society. If it's not carefully designed or monitored, that's how the AI responses or the AI feedbacks will be. Another misconception is that AI will fully replace human thinking or decision making. I used to see some interviews, so even some experts used to mention this thing. I see AI more as a tool that can support human work, but still requires human judgment, ethics, and responsibilities. Example, when I said like the one misconception is AI, thinking AI as a neutral, it's one of the misconceptions. Let's see this as a job recruitment AI system. So some company builds this AI system which uses to replace this job recruitment. This AI system used by company to screen CVs. So if the system trained mostly on the past hiring data where men were more frequent hired for technical roles, this AI system may learn the pattern that it gives high rank to the candidate, to the male candidate, because of the previous data. So thinking AI as a neutral or as a perfect bias free system is not right, or it's one misconception. We can't I am not going to mention the name of the AI here, but you can ask one AI about the Palestine movement or the Palestine questions, the Palestine political questions. The answer you get from this platform, which is called A, and the answer you get from another AI, which is called B, is different. So one of the common misconceptions is that AI is completely independent, objective, even neutral. Many people think it produces answer without bias or human influence, but this is completely misconception that everybody should see it or understand it again. So AI is not completely independent. It's not objective. It's very, very subjective, and it's not neutral. It is always based on the data used, the design choices, and the objective behind the system all shapes how it behaves. These are the things, the data, the design, and the objectives are the main things that shapes how it behaves. So AI is not neutral, AI is not independent, AI is not objective.
Thank you. Thank you, Kibran. Very to the point of these very real impacts of these technologies. So as you just mentioned, there are very real environmental impacts of AI. Data centers now constitute nearly half of US electricity demand growth, with AI-driven operations consuming massive amounts of water, potentially up to 297 billion gallons annually in the US by 2030. For more details, you
Exactly.
can Yes, for more details, you can visit International Energy Agency, IEA. They have a great overview of these impacts. But from a technology standpoint, how would you encourage other advocates to communicate about these impacts in a way that informs but does not overwhelm them?
Okay, thanks again. This is very important question that you raised. So, as to me, advocates should communicate the environmental impact of AI in a way that is clear, balanced, and easy to relate to everyday life. If you The goal is not to overwhelm people with technical details or large numbers, but to help them understand that AI has real physical footprint on Earth and even indicate effects on human well-being. AI system runs large data centers that use electricity, water for cooling, and constant hardware activities. This connects AI not only to climate change, but also to the broader health and environmental systems that affects a clean air, water availability, and long-term sustainability. So, to make the message more effective, the, it should be simple and human-centered. Let's say, for example, instead of using complex statistics like the one that you mentioned now, we can say every time you use AI to generate long text or image, it uses every similar charging many phones or small amount of water to cool the system. Also, we can say it simply in short way. Like example, running AI at large scale uses as much electricity as powering cities, which indirectly links to carbon emission that contributes to climate change, affects public health through heat waves, air quality, and environmental stress. At the same time, communication should stay balanced, not fear-based. AI also supports health systems, climate research, and education. So the message should be acknowledged both sides, the impact and the benefit. The goal is awareness, not rhythm. So these advocates should use very easy, real, and direct way. So it makes every people, even from the uneducated persons, those who do not know, who do not have a lot of knowledge about AI, can simply understand it with their daily life basis matter. So that's how I prefer advocates to use in order to communicate with environmental impacts regarding AI.
Thank you, Kibran, for that response. And you are 100% correct. We have to move away from like very jargony, really academic language when we talk about these very new
Yes,
age, concepts, because they're not necessarily understandable to our general audience.
exactly.
So yeah. Well, move on to the next question. FHJ is focused on the principle of health justice. To us, this means the presence of equity settings that promote well being for all generations and communities. How do you define health justice for young people right now? And what feels most urgent given the current social and political climate?
Um, for me, health just means that every young person should have fair, equal access to to all conditions that support overall well-being. This includes physical health, yeah, mental health, at the same time social well-being. But it also means that access should not depend on income level, location, or background. In today's context, I think one of the most urgent issues is mental health. Many young people are facing stress, uncertainty, pressure from different directions. But in many places, support systems are still limited, not easily accessible, especially in those which are not in Western countries. Another important dimension when I think about health justice is inequality in access to healthcare and information. Some young people have access to equality services, awareness, while others do not. So, and the gap affects outcome significantly. So, health justice is not only about treating illness. For me, it's about creating system where young people can thrive, feel supported, have equal opportunity to maintain their well-being. So, this is how I see health justice. Regarding technology, you can see it also regarding technology. One of the technology, IT, artificial intelligence are increasingly sharpening this conversation. On the other hand, digital health platforms, telemedicine, AI assisted diagnostics, and mental health applications have potential to expand healthcare access. So, improving early detection, deliver support to communities with limited medical infrastructure. So, regarding these two, having equal access to such kind of technologies, and platforms at the same time, AI assisted health related solutions is also uh, one terminal or one branch of this health justice for me. So in this modern era, I feel health justice in this modern era must also include digital justice. Technology and the AI should be there designed, implemented ethically, inclusively, responsible so that innovation reduces inequality rather than deepening in it, because in some areas the technology that have direct relation with health justice reaches in its max, but in some areas you see at 0 point level. So this also should be considered with health justice, but generally this is how I see health justice.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I hope for folks who are listening, as Kibran said, technology is a really important part of achieving health justice. And I think because the conversations around AI are relatively new, maybe we haven't quite weaved it into the conversations around health justice, but we should definitely do that because the impacts directly impact our health.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, that's right.
so to close us off with our podcast here, how would you encourage other youth advocates to navigate conversations about AI from an equity perspective that centers people first?
Yeah, this is also another very important question that should be addressed. Thank you for asking. Uh, Youth advocates should approach AI through a people-centered, not equity-driven lens. That's what I believe, where technology is evaluated not only by its efficiency or innovation, but by its social impact and ethical implications. The central question should not simply say, what can this AI do? What can this AI achieve? But rather, who benefits, who excluded, what long-term consequences might emerge in different communities. Because when the advocates ask such kind of questions, it will increase the inclusiveness of this AI. An equity-based perspective requires recognizing that AI systems are not neutral. They are shaped by the data, assumptions, social structures behind them. So, without inclusive design or oversight, AI can unintentionally reinforce existing inequalities related to income, geography, gender, language, disability, and access to education or digital infrastructure. This is especially important for young people in underserved or rural communities who may already face symmetric barriers. So, advocates therefore have a critical role in promoting responsible and inclusive AI governance. This should include advocating for transparency, accountability, data privacy, algor- algorithmic algorithmic fairness. The algorithms should be fair, human rights for protection from the early stages of AI development, not only after harmful effects become visible. It also means ensuring that young people themselves are included in conservation around AI policies, ethics, implementation, rather than being treated only as an end user. Because once we once this AI is distributed and started using by many people, we cannot talk about privacy after that. Once after the privacy rule is omitted. So a people first approach also recognizes that technology products should strengthen human dignity, well-being, opportunity, and social inclusion. If you remember a few months back, there was this algorithm developed by who was owner of Tesla. Uh, but there was some privacy issues all around Europe. So it's not important to get correction when the problem is raised or identified. But in the early stage of the development, all the things that I mentioned you now should be considered. AI should complement human potential, not replace empathy, critical thinking, community-centered decision making. In this sense, the goal is not simply to create more advanced technologies, but to ensure innovation contributes to more just inclusive and sustainable society for everyone. So this should be the central point for these young advocates to consider.
Thank you so much. And yes, I agree that it needs to be people first. It needs to consider, yes, it needs to consider equity and who is benefiting and who's being impacted for sure. Because I think a lot of us are focused on the benefits, which there are select benefits to this. I mean, I know even for myself as a business owner, like there's potential for these systems to help with productivity
Yeah,
specifically.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, we have to consider the negative drawbacks of this technology. So I appreciate what you shared because I think it's very direct, but it's also balanced and nuanced for folks who are trying to understand how to navigate all of this. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Chelsea. I'm also very thankful.
Well, thank you again so much for being on the Soft Launching Justice podcast, Kibran. And thanks to our listeners. Make sure you continue to follow CFHJ on YouTube for more updates. Until then, take care, everyone.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you, Chelsea.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to CFHJ's Soft Launching Justice podcast. We hope today's conversation gave you something to think about and something to act on. There is a lot to unpack when it comes to AI. My personal suggestion is that if you wish to learn more about it, take time to find evidence based information to understand it. Governmental reports, academic journals, and specialized research centers such as the International Energy Agency are each great resources to explore the impacts of AI from a rigorous scientific perspective. If this episode resonated with you, take a moment to share it, leave a review, or send it to someone who believes in youth voice and health justice. That's how this community grows. If you would like to be a guest on the podcast, you can learn more about joining us at cfhj.org and on social media at CFHJ. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep pushing for justice, and keep communicating.